I want to ask Melody, I want to ask Jack, I want to ask you as the viewers, hypothetically, if Trump were to get elected, would he and should he fire Jerome Powell? So what I want to do before we kind of answer that question is I want to read a quick article briefly from CNN about, kind of the concerns that they have, what Trump's been saying on what he's going to do with Jerome Powell. And then I want to go back in history to about 2017 when Trump hired Jerome Powell. And I want to see, and I want to show you guys what was Jerome Powell doing prior to lockdowns. And the hard part, guys, and I'll get to that. I won't give them the ending yet, but let me go and throw this up right quick and we will get started. So again, I'm going to start with this article, you guys. Trump says he wouldn't fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell, but this is saying, of course, it's CNN, right? Obviously, there's this political bias, but don't hold your breath. So let's go in. And again, this is a big deal, you guys. Obviously, Jerome Powell is incredibly powerful. It takes time to combat inflation, obviously quantitative tightening, but also, my opinion, there's a lot of blame to go around when it comes to the Federal Reserve. But this is what this says. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump would not fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell if the former president wins the election in November. But Trump's statement, they're saying, wasn't exactly promising. Okay, saying he'd let Powell finish up his second term, especially if I thought he was doing the right thing. And so the article goes on about how, like, if he doesn't do the right thing, Trump's going to do this or that. This is a good paragraph here on the history of Jerome Powell and Trump. Powell, a registered Republican, was first tapped to helm the central bank by Trump in 2017. So you guys, I don't know if people realize this, actually Trump brought in Jerome Powell around 2017. And at that time, and I'll show you guys this in a minute, because we got to go back in the space-time continuum to show you why Trump was praising him. But initially, Trump sang Powell's praises at the time, saying he's strong, he's committed, and he's smart. But he doesn't have those same feelings. So again, we'll ask why. So Trump doesn't have that same rosy view of his central bank appointee. Okay, so it just goes on, blah, 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 da, 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 da. But again, let's see what Jerome Powell did as soon as he took charge. Okay, so we know, again, he's in charge 2017. All right, so we got to understand, guys, basically the Fed, other than the things that they don't tell us, the manipulation, their balance sheet, the current debt that they hold, basically has two things: raising the federal funds rate and quantitative tightening or easing. Okay, so I wanted to remind you guys, okay, what you're looking at here is the interest rates. You're looking at the federal funds rate. This is basically the one-day borrowing rate, I think it's fair to say. And I wanted to show you guys, look at, so in 2017, when Jerome Powell was in charge, look at what immediately started happening with the federal funds rate. Do y'all see that? Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that when Jerome Powell first, day one, when he was in there, they started raising the federal funds rate immediately? Did you guys remember that? But what happened, guys, is look, around it's before lockdown. So I was like, how did you know this, guys? Did y'all know this? Right? How did you start lowering rates before lockdown? But anyways, lockdown happens, and obviously they go 0%. Okay, but again, remember, he started by raising federal funds rate, and that irritated Trump. Trump was arguing with Jerome Powell about how he shouldn't do that, but I'm saying actually he should do that. And there's another thing, guys. This is probably the bigger problem with the Federal Reserve as it pertains to the mortgage market and the housing market. That's mortgage-backed securities. This should be against the law. Okay, but regardless, let's go back to 2017. 2017, when Jerome Powell got in there controlling things, look at, guys, they didn't basically, it was flat. Okay, this is mortgage-backed security holdings. It was flat. Maybe they're still doing, a little bit here and there, but you guys, I don't know if you knew, he started doing quantitative tightening like 1 year-ish, about a year after he started. Look at that, guys. See? So Jerome Powell was doing quantitative tightening. He was doing, all right, so far he's doing a good job. Okay, because the people previous to this cycle did the opposite. But again, you guys, a lockdown happens, and look at, they just, this is golden handcuff right here. If you guys want to know why the whole golden handcuff effect is so powerful and got so strong, it's because when they purchase mortgage-backed securities, it additionally artificially lowers mortgage rates. And so there's a profit now in a lender offering us a 2%. If they're not buying that mortgage-backed security, there's not as much profit for these lenders to lend at 2%. And I want to show you this real quick, guys. Let me max this out, okay? Here's what went wrong, all right? And I'm going to show you the double bubble here in a minute. If the Federal Reserve, where my mouse is right here, in my opinion, if they would have stopped doing mortgage-backed security purchasing or quantitative easing, which they've been doing this whole time, by the way, if they would have stopped in 2012, I don't think that we would have the double bubble that we were in right now. This is when they should have cut us off right here. You guys see that? And they did. See that? They cut us off right here. So unfortunately, instead of them getting control again of the bubble, and I'll show you that in a minute, look at out of control quantitative easing from 2012 to 2013. There's no reason for this, guys. There's no reason for this. This is a crime against America. This is manipulating money, currency, market conditions. This is horrible. But again, my point is look, when he started, they started doing quantitative tightening. So that's a good thing. Now look at this, guys. Let's put this in perspective. This is Case-Shiller. This is a proprietary algorithm to calculate value of houses. Okay, so let's just say it's their idea of values of houses. It's extremely lagging. It's only looking, I believe, at 20 or 40 cities. So it's very limited. But first, guys, here's the GFC housing bubble. Y'all see that double dip? Y'all see that double dip? Can you guys see that okay? So remember, guys, during the GFC, there was a double dip. And so this decline in prices here was the warning. This is where like, hey, guys, there's something wrong. 2016, middle 2016, there's something wrong. But the market was like, nah, the only way we can survive is foolish optimism. So look at another increase. So you had that dip, increase, and then crash. Look at this bubble. What do you guys see there? Okay. What you guys see here is, okay, this is a Case-Shiller already happening. So you already see the double dip. So fast forward today, you guys already see the double dip. But when we compare the bubble that we have right now, guys, if we were just to cut it right down here vertically, okay, let me put this right here. Okay, so separate where that arrow is. Look at the different sizes of the bubble. Look at the peaks. Look at the troughs. Look at the second running. Look at the full, that dead cat bounce. All right. So here's the thing. They started quantitative tightening and raising the federal funds rate right about here. Okay. So in other words, in my opinion, they started the quantitative tightening and increasing the federal funds rate because they understood that home value was getting out of control when compared to income. And income, you guys, is the name of the game, at least in my opinion. So either way, I wanted to show you what he did when he started. Now, one last thing, and I want to get you guys' opinion on whether or not you think Jerome Powell did a good job. Here's the thing, guys, okay? I told you the good stuff. All right. The bad stuff is honestly, I mean, I think they should have stopped printing in 2021, right? But the 2022, 2023, 2024. Here's my gripe. Here's what I feel betrayed as an American consumer that has old-fashioned values. I'm trying to save my money, rebudgeting, and I remember the GFC. And when they bailed out the banks during the GFC, they promised us as taxpayers, they went on live television, the elected officials, and said they will never bail out the banks again because it is not fair. It is not fair to us, the taxpayers. But unfortunately, you guys, and here's my gripe, March 8th, okay, we had bank runs in 2023. And this run up, you see, I mean, it's evident. We don't have to guess here. They did a form of bank bailout. And I promise, Danielle, I know I'm not supposed to say bank bailout. So I'll say a mini bank bailout. So it's a mini bank bailout when we compare, but not only, okay, did this save the banks, think of how much this right here, stopping that bank run, think at how much it reset trust and confidence in our officials. They showed us right here, guys, and this is why the market got so wrong. They showed us the Fed is going to bail out the markets. And so all of these bulls you see across all of these stations, all this, this is what they're standing on. They're like, you guys, they're just going to bail us out. So I don't like that for obvious reasons, right? It's not fair. They're lying to us. But, that's my overall kind of breakdown on where we're at with Jerome Powell, where we came from. And honestly, guys, let me give you my opinion. And I want to ask each of you, okay? So when I ask the question, if and this is a big if, okay? I don't want to get political, but if Trump gets elected again, and I ask myself if he should fire and replace Jerome Powell, my ultimate answer is no. And the reason I say that, and here's the biggest problem, okay? First of all, he's still in the middle of doing work. So his job's not done. But the biggest issue here and the primary reason why there's no one else It's not like we have a huge selection of Federal Reserve chairmen that understand, how to talk to the public and do quantitative tightening at the same time. So I think ultimately, guys, ultimately my end, conclusion here is so far, and this can change, my opinion can change, Jack and Melody. I think it would, at surface value, I think it would be a terrible idea for him to fire Jerome Powell. Now, if you can show me someone that is more experienced than him, more capable than him, maybe I'll change my tune. But ultimately, man, this is some scary times. I think you let him keep tightening. I think you let him keep lying to us. And let's get this crash underway. Melody, what do you think?
So just so I'm clear, the question is, do I think that Trump should fire Jerome Powell? Yes. To me, you're asked. Okay. You're on mute. Okay. Yeah. I personally wouldn't think that it's a good idea. I think, like you say, we probably need some consistency. I think that we've been all watching this parade of the central bankers of Powell. I feel like we've seen way more footage of him over the last 4 years than Biden. And so I think if that happened, there would probably be more turmoil than there is right now in the Democratic Party, to be honest. And I'm going to keep it short because I could go on and on about this, Travis, but I don't think that would be a good idea. Why are you talking on mute?
You're mute, Trav. Bad form, man. Bad form.
I'm so sorry. And she warned me as well. She's like, Travis, you're on mute. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I never even took it off mute. Jack, what do you think?
Hey, Trav, could we share my screen real quick while I'm doing this one? All right. So should he? Yes, unequivocally. And he should replace him with Ron Paul. And Ron Paul's singular task should be to destroy the Federal Reserve from within. All right. That's what he should do. He won't, but that's what he should do. All right. What you're looking at here is a chart of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet going back to the great financial crisis. And if you were to plot the consumption of a heroin addict over time, it would look almost identical to this. All right. And by all means, the easy money and the money printing is every bit the narcotic, the fix that our economy operates on, just the way a drug addict operates. And every time you see this chart dip just a little bit, that's the addict saying, I'm going to get clean. And he doesn't last. He swears he's going to get clean. It gets a little better for a little time. And then he falls back into his old habits and it comes back worse. And now the fix has to be even bigger. And the chart starts going upward again. And it starts going upward faster until the next time he makes a petty attempt to get clean that he doesn't really mean it. And he gives up. And then the times get tough. First sign of adversity, right back on the needle. Higher it goes. And the fix gets bigger and bigger every time. And we know how it ends. And our behavior, the behavior of our central bank and our economy is every bit like that. So we can stop the sharing of the screen. So if I were Trump, I would fire Jerome Powell. I'd put Ron Paul or Rand Paul in there. I'd put somebody in there with the goal of destroying the institution once and for all for the betterment of all mankind. Of course, that's probably why I would never get elected, because that would be amazingly painful for everybody. There is no pain-free way to break an addiction. You just can't do it. It hurts. It sucks. You're miserable. You'll do anything to get another fix. And our economy is the same way with easy money. When people start losing jobs and when houses start going down in value, everybody will be crying for the money printers to spin back up. They'll forget all about the inflation that got them in this mess to begin with, and they will demand that fix because we're weak. All right. And I hate to say it, it's so doomy, but we're weak and we are hopelessly dependent on easy money. Now, what will Trump do? We've seen what Trump will do. Trump is all about the easy money, because Trump views the stock market as his report card, right? That's how he graded himself during his first term, and I don't expect it'll be any different. And we even saw Donald Trump say this week, he was saying Jerome Powell shouldn't cut interest rates until after the election. Yeah, stay higher for longer, damaging the economy until I'm in charge, and then bring back the easy money and juice the stock market again. So I'm increasingly of the disposition that from a standpoint of economics, and I take a lot of heat from this on my channel, I really don't think the election matters that much, because no matter who gets in there, Zerp and Burr is coming back one way or another. And it doesn't matter who's at the helm at the Fed, because the Fed is not even on the ticket. breaking this addiction to easy money is not even on the ballot. Nobody's even proposing it. So honestly, I really think it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. So I just like to add to the end of that, Jack, that's really my position. There isn't one man like driving this policy. This is the will of our, the majority of this country that has the ability to affect these things. And when I say the majority of this country, I don't mean the actual physical majority. Yeah, that was classic, Julius. Classic.
Viva Libertad, carajo.
Exactly. I can't stop laughing about that comment. But yeah, not one man drives this. This is just like these two men, that are currently running for president. This is our political will. This is also our will in the form of Jerome Powell. He's just a man. He's just a person like all of us. And so I don't believe putting someone else in there would make any difference. And that's really kind of where I came from in answering the question. But, I like your answer as well, Jack.
I agree. Oh my gosh, real quick, I got to give a shout out to G1. Thank you for that $100 super chat, brother. Like, we were giving you a shout out. Like, actually, no, we just ended when you sent that. Thank you for that support, man. I have been looking for this man to say thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now, just real quick, I want to end this out here, guys. So, I mean, I agree with you guys in the fact that it doesn't matter who really gets elected here. We still have the same issues, the same problems. Obviously, like Jack said, the market is high AF, bunch of heroin addicts. And in order to save it from collapsing, why would you want to do that? You got to keep shooting it with them drugs, man. And you shoot it with them drugs long enough, it's not even the same America anymore, but whatever. Okay. And as far as Trump and easy money, I just want to be cautious. And my point is, Jack, in saying that, I understand, right? He's like this real estate, I almost said buffoon, tycoon. Okay. It's like this real estate tycoon. He's got his own commercial stuff, but I still want to believe, actually, I'm going to scratch that part. Here's the thing. I understand the easy money, but let's not forget, he's the first president since the GFC to start quantitative tightening and to start raising that federal funds rate. So I know not a lot of presidents.
Well, hold on. I gotta push back on that, Travis. I'm sorry. And I agree with you on most things. Trump didn't start quantitative tightening. Powell did. And Trump complained the whole time. Yes. Trump actually said, Jerome Powell keeps taking money out of my economy. He took that QT as a personal attack. So Trump is not a disciplinarian when it comes to monetary policy. He's every bit as Keynesian as the guys who are in charge right now.
But it was on his watch from the boy that he picked. That's the point I'm making. But you're right. I mean, I remember he got so offended, Jack. I was like, come on.
I think that they're all going to find that there's some unintended consequences from the overturning of that Chevron doctrine, especially with the powers at the Fed. I mean, you mentioned, Travis, it should be illegal. Many people believe a lot of the Fed's activities are illegal. And if they were challenged, in a court of law, they would not stand up.
I mean, because Melody, isn't it fair to say that they're using our money to buy things? Is that fair to say? So shouldn't we, as the taxpayers, kind of like, hey, stop doing that? You're like killing us with inflation. We should have that right, I think.